This is Hemant.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support this show. Get your ad-free bonus episodes. The episodes on video are also now on YouTube, so you can check that out using the links in the show notes if you so choose.
Yes.
And much to talk about. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So far, the video's been going good. My husband
comments are not obscene.
Yeah, my husband's like, did you check the comments? I was like, obviously, I didn't check the comments. But
That's
they've all
the
been
right
super
answer.
nice. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for being cool. And
so
hit me.
Let's start with some breaking news this week anyway out of Arkansas. And this concerns their 10 Commandments law. A couple states have already done this, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas. The Texas one is already being appealed, and we'll see what the hell their Fifth Circuit Court does. But here's the background on what's happening in Arkansas, because they just had a major move in the courts this week.
Okay.
Their law required every public school classroom to display a copy of the 10 Commandments. No disclaimer needed explaining the supposed historical relevance of the 10 Commandments.
Honestly,
just a straight up put the 10 Commandments King James version up there.
I kind of respect that more than the sort of like fiddle-faddling of like, oh, well, we'll put it up in the context. Like,
right.
Louisiana stand with was your like, convictions, you know?
Louisiana was like, no, this isn't about pushing religion. It's about pushing American history on kids. And that's what the disclaimer is. In Arkansas
is not interested in playing that game.
They're like, no, we just want to promote Christianity. Here's the list. Put it up there.
We just love white nationalism and we're concerned.
And in case you forgot, when we talked about this back in August, before school started, a federal judge basically weighed in and said, there are 4 school districts that are already saying they're going to put up these posters.
Yeah.
I'm putting a temporary preliminary injunction. Those districts cannot do it, but I'm going to get to my full results later.
But is the idea that other schools are going to go on and keep doing their thing, or is it a blanket thing, but these are the only 4
these are the 4 we know are going to do it.
Got it.
Because I think the law said it required every school district to do it, but we didn't actually know what that would look like.
Okay.
But in any case, after he filed that preliminary injunction, all those church-state separation groups, Americans United, the ACLU, Freedom from Religion Foundation, they sent a memo to every school district in the state saying, hey, this judge already says that these school districts that are doing this or about to do this, it's unconstitutional, so we're going to come after you too if you follow this law. And it turns out a couple more school districts then said, we don't care, we're going to do it anyway.
And is this just people trying to get reelected to the school board, or are these
conservative school boards saying, like, whatever, we don't care about some outside group's letters, we're going to follow the law, and we're going to put up the Christian thing? We even have pictures of them putting it up in classrooms, and it looks very much like, it's just the 10 Commandments in the classrooms. Like, that's it.
We have videos of them putting up a poster?
Pictures of them being up in the classroom, which is to say, that means you are subjecting children to this version of Christianity.
Yeah, 100%.
And so the church-state groups went back to the court and they said, you know how you already stopped those 4 school districts from doing this? We got a couple more to add to the list. And the judge is like, yeah, all right, you fixed your complaint to say it's all these districts, and I'm going to go ahead and say no to all of them so far.
Okay.
And so that's where we were at, but it's a giant game of whack-a-mole, right? What we need is a permanent injunction that says any school district that does this is not allowed to do it. And that's what happened this week. That same judge issued a 26-page ruling basically saying, all of these school districts, I'm permanently banning you from following this particular law. And the only reason he's saying I'm going after these particular school districts is because they're the only ones we know that have actually done this so far. But if any other school district does it, you have to assume, all right, well, this applies to them too.
Yeah.
So it counts as a blanket across the board victory for church-state separation.
Cool.
And what he said is that, yes, these people have standing, even if the posters are not up yet, because we know very well that these posters are going to go up in school districts, even if they haven't gone up anywhere. We know what they look like because the law said what they have to look like. In fact, one of the things he said is in the school districts mentioned in the lawsuit, there are 4,019 classrooms in those districts altogether. The law says you got to put up a poster in every classroom. And the law also says if anyone donates posters, you got to put them up.
That's the craziest thing to me.
This judge said those school districts have already received a grand total of over 20,000 posters donated, which is to say these are going to go up unless I step in right now.
Right.
So that's part one. He's like, yeah, so you can't do it. I'm stopping you. Second thing he said is there's an argument to be made. No one knows what these posters are going to look like. They made that in Louisiana, right? Where they said, you don't know if it's going to be like the 10 Commandments and the dual commandments from Hamilton. And this judge said...
both appropriately important for a high school classroom.
Right. And this judge said, I'm quoting here, no guesswork or speculation is required to determine exactly how this bill will be implemented by Arkansas school districts. For example, one of the school districts already put up the posters. We got pictures of what they look like. And this judge said the plain text of the law does not suggest that other documents be posted alongside the 10 Commandments for educational reasons or mitigating context. Nothing could possibly justify hanging the 10 Commandments with or without historical context in a calculus, chemistry, French, or woodworking class, to name a few. Accordingly, there is no need to strain our minds to imagine a constitutional display mandated by this law.
Right.
So this judge is just saying, I don't care what you want to pretend these posters are going to look like.
Right.
We already know what they're going to look like, and there's no justification for it. He also said, there was a Supreme Court law from 1980, which we've talked about, Stone versus Graham, that basically said putting the 10 Commandments in public school classrooms is unconstitutional. And he's like, as far as we know, I mean, as far as I know, because I'm the judge and I could say this, that law hasn't been overturned.
Right.
That decision has not been overturned. And I'm just following what the Supreme Court said. So there's that as well. And to the argument that the Supreme Court is different now and they've changed church-state separation law, here's what he said to that. In short, there is no reason to think the Supreme Court has thrown the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Because whatever they've done to dismantle church-state separation doesn't overturn the
First Amendment.
the First Amendment and the fact that these posters are unconstitutional. He also said Arkansas's law is a coercive law.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the argument that is made by Christians that the 10 Commandments are historical? It's about the foundations of our law and our legal system, and it's not about promoting religion.
Like 2 months ago on this very podcast, I learned that the posting of 10 Commandments was basically a publicity stunt around...
For the movie, the Charlton Heston movie.
The Charlton Heston movie, and it's just like... You guys, how am I supposed to take you seriously when you do shit like this?
The publicity campaign is putting up the monuments in front of courthouses.
Right. So like this historic effort of putting the 10 Commandments places goes back to
They never mention Charlton Heston in the lawsuits when the school districts or the lawmakers are saying, let's defend this.
Yeah.
They're always like, let's go back to the 1600s. They're never like, let's go back to the movie and the publicity campaign. He also says, to the argument that the 10 Commandments are historical, he basically says that's bullshit. And here's how he says that. This claim finds no support in the record of the fact that it's historical. He says, first, the word historical, or any form of that word, appears only twice in the bill that was passed. And both times it's used to describe the ancient quality of the sacred text, not how the text will be used in schools. So even the Republicans, he's saying, didn't pretend this was historical. And then he says the law also doesn't require teachers to explain the historicity of the posters. He said, in other words, the state admits there is no educational purpose in displaying the 10 Commandments. No teaching, no learning, and no curricular integration. The bill's purpose is only to display a sacred religious text in a prominent place in every public school classroom. And the only reason to display a sacred religious text in every classroom is to proselytize to children. The state has said the quiet part out loud.
He said?
The judge said that.
What? That's the stuff I'm supposed to say.
I know. And the best part about this entire bill, and then the judge spends a full page of his 26-page ruling quoting Republican senators who very much during the debate on this bill basically said, yeah, we just got to get Jesus in public schools.
Well, because they can't it's one thing to like give a little press release or
Pretending
like
it's about history.
yeah, but if somebody like asks you, a judge no less, asks you a really blatant question, like there's only so much obfuscating you can do.
One lawmaker said that reading and meditating on the Ten Commandments teaches children to appreciate, quote, the virtues and qualities that we should all aspire to as Christians. Like it goes on for this for a while.
Oh my God.
And finally he said
isn't not lying one of the 10 commandments, dude?
Nope, they didn't get that far in the Bible.
Oh, shit.
He also noted that both sides had expert witnesses, same guys, by the way, who have been used in other states to fight these bills.
Is one of them David Barton?
No. The church state side has a guy named Dr. Stephen Green, who has said in court the founding fathers supported church state separation. The founding documents, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, were not based on the Ten Commandments. And there's no historical practice of putting the Ten Commandments in public schools.
Yep.
The religious side has a guy named Dr. Mark David Hall, who is a professor at Pat Robertson's Regent University, who has repeatedly downplayed the threat of Christian nationalism. And this judge said, all right, I listened to the Christian nationalist dude. And he basically said both guys admit discussing history is both unhelpful and irrelevant when the challenged law is coercive. Even so, these guys admitted there is no historical practice and understanding to support the posting of the Ten Commandments in public schools.
They both admitted it? They were like, yeah, no, this isn't that.
The guy under oath is like, well, no, it's not like they used to do this.
I guess the threat of perjury is going to get you pretty far.
The judge even mentioned that Dr. Hall even admitted he would find it hard to imagine an educational purpose for having the Ten Commandments in a math or science classroom.
Yeah, because they're not even that well written.
So
it's
the
not
bottom
like you
line,
can teach it as poetry.
The bottom line after all of this is that the bill is permanently enjoined, which is legal speak for it's dead.
Yay.
And he basically said the ruling applies to the districts mentioned in the lawsuits, the 6 of them.
So we're limited to Arkansas here.
Right, and the 6 districts in Arkansas that did this or said they were going to do this, but effectively it applies to everybody because if anyone else tries to do this, it's not going to work either. Now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders said we are, and the Attorney General, the Attorney General of Arkansas already said we're appealing this,
of course,
which is expected. Here's what the church-state separation side already knows. In Texas and Louisiana, this is going up to the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals. They are almost certainly going to say 10 Commandments in schools are fine.
Yeah, of course.
That's what they're going to say. This one would go up to the 8th Circuit, a different circuit. We don't know what they're going to say. But the bottom line is everybody fighting this battle on either side is fully expecting for this to go in front of the Supreme Court. That's the long term where this is going to end up. And the Supreme Court's going to have to decide, do we want to fight this battle? Do we want to rule on this matter? Do we let the earlier decision stand and create chaos everywhere?
Right.
Because no one seems to know what the law is on this. But for now, huge victory for church-state separation.
Arkansas generally places between 42nd and 47th in the nation for education.
Sounds about right. This is going to fix that.
This feels like a good use of their time
By
and
the
money.
way, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, in her statement saying we're going to appeal this decision, here's what she said. In Arkansas, we do, in fact, believe that murder is wrong and stealing is bad.
Wow. She's so brave.
So brave.
Wow.
It's like, no,
really meeting the moment, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Not to
Congratulations.
paraphrase George Carlin, but like if you want to put up a list of those 2 commandments, we wouldn't be having this fight. It's the other ones, the ones she purposely does not mention, which are religious in nature, which is the basis for why we are having this fight. Either she doesn't understand that or she only can count to 2. You take your pick.
Do you have a favorite kind of talk around for them trying to justify the 10 Commandments of like, well, kids shouldn't be killing people, so obviously we need the 10 Commandments. Do you have a favorite specious argument?
I mean, the first one is if a school shooter sees thou shalt not kill, I promise you, it's not going to stop them. It never has.
Yeah.
There have been shootings at Christian schools too. You would think they have something to do with the 10 Commandments.
Churches, if I recall correctly.
Churches. And the other thing is, if you want to put up that sign, go for it. It's the rest of the commandments. And please go ahead, supporter of this law. Name the first 4 commandments.
Right.
Let's talk about why you think Jews and atheists and Muslims should be subject to those laws about not taking the Lord's name in vain, not worshiping false idols, resting on the Sabbath, which are not based, like our law purposely says all of that stuff is fine. So it's not the basis of any law either.
Right.
There's your talk around. So yay, good news temporarily. Yeah. We'll take it. There's not always a lot of good news, but that's a good one. I have to now get to my favorite story of the week because it's about an election I didn't know was happening, and now I'm fully obsessed with this.
Oh, fun.
So here's the deal. We're in Australia.
Yes.
There's a state of South Australia.
Sure.
And in that particular state, they have their parliamentary elections taking place. And listen, don't ask me to explain the political system of South Australia, but
unfortunately, that's what you're here for. They do have their version
of the Senate. They have their version of the House. And so that means some of the senators are up on the ballot and all of the representatives are up on the ballot for this like midterm election, basically. And what's happening is that in this particular district, you have an incumbent who is the more liberal candidate, and he's in what we would call a blue district.
Sure.
He's probably going to win.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean their version of the Republicans are not going to put up a candidate. And their more conservative party put up a candidate who is a relatively unknown, but they're pushing for this guy to challenge the liberal. And the conservative candidate's name is Karsten Woodhouse. And if you go to the party's page promoting Woodhouse, it's pretty bland. He seems like a decent dude. Like his picture is pretty bland and boring and non-controversial at all. Here's their bio of this guy. Karsten is strong, principled, and community-minded with a proven track record of success across diverse industries, as well as a deep commitment to service. Like, it's a very bland, very boring,
generic boilerplate.
I don't know why I should not like this guy, right? And because it's Australia, it's not like you have 2 years to get to know these candidates and they're bombarding the airwaves at every turn. It's kind of like, oh, this is the candidate that this party is putting up.
Right.
I don't even know how they chose the guy, if they selected him or whatever. But all right, fine. If I'm a mildly conservative person or someone who doesn't have an allegiance to any party, maybe I consider this dude. And then what happened is that, by the way, that bio of Karsten Woodhouse on the more conservative party's website didn't even mention that this guy is also a pastor at a church. They just left that one out.
Oh,
but
how
come? Last week, the more liberal candidate said, we're going to have a press conference, and I'm calling a press conference, and I want the media to know who this dude, Karsten Woodhouse, actually is. And he came with videos and he came with audio because it turns out Karsten Woodhouse has spent a lot of time, not just as a pastor at this church, but as like a Christian nationalist going on American podcasts talking about what needs to happen. And this more liberal candidate,
Australian Christian nationalist. I don't feel like they have the claim that our Christian nationalists
He shared clips from 2 interviews from 2023 and 2025 that have been on like what we would call right-wing extremist like podcasts, on the sort of podcasts that the video versions are on Rumble and not even on YouTube per se. Like, okay. And here's the bottom line. In one of them, here's what he said. Here's the weird one. He talked about witches. In one of these conversations, he said, imagine me with an Australian accent.
I will.
Apart from the more demonstrative versions of supernatural power of God, I've also seen people do crazy things with supernatural love, where they've hugged witches that have come into church services, hugged them, and watched them melt, and have them converted later and see them saved.
Oh, so not a literal melting, a metaphorical melting?
He said literally, I mean, he said watch them melt.
Watch them melt. They reconstituted.
And then converted and became saved.
It's like The Secret Life of Alex Mack. Like you just turn into the goo puddle, the silvery goo puddle. People know what I'm talking about. 90s kids remember.
This dude thinks Wizard of Oz is a documentary. There is no evidence, in case you're wondering, of witches melting in any of these churches.
I saw a documentary called The Wizard of Oz. I believe I know exactly what happens.
There you go. And then in the same interview, he also talks about same-sex marriage, which, by the way, in Australia has been legal since 2017. Hard-fought situation there. They had to vote on it and everything, legal in 2017. And it has more support there than in the U.S. right now. Yeah. Here's what he said about same-sex marriage. Like, there's this whole reality pretending that same-sex marriage is real. Like, it's not. It's not. And it ignores, decades of the reality of observations of the dynamics between a man and a woman.
Decades? You're giving me decades? We're
Like,
not talking millennia?
I will say, as far as anti-gay bigotry goes, that's pretty mild.
Sure.
But he also said of same-sex marriage, it's not real, which counts as offensive in Australia.
I mean, I would say that counts as offensive in America
It should.
too.
It should.
It's not the worst thing I've heard a person say,
Right.
but it sucks.
It is offensive, but it's like, we're so far beyond that when it comes to what conservatives say about
we're
same-sex
just excited when nobody threatens immediate bodily harm on gay people around here. Cool
By the way,
country we have.
That entire interview that I just quoted for you, that was actually about abortion. Which, by the way, Woodhouse said he opposes in all cases involving the worst exception, or the worst extreme versions of that as well.
And then we just don't believe the victims in that case, in the most extreme version.
This puts him on the very fringes of society in Australia.
Yeah.
But then the third clip that this candidate played for the media was one where he was doing an interview with his wife with the same host. And he said, for example, who knows what when you forsake pillars of truth, right? And then you lose understanding, you lose wisdom, you lose counsel. Who knows what demonic realms we've opened up to the world, to ourselves on the earth, when you forsake it by accepting homosexuality, transgender, abortion, shaming men.
You know who doesn't really get that many abortions ever?
Gay men?
Yeah. Almost never.
He says we open demonic realms when we accept homosexuality and man-shaming.
Man-shaming.
Yeah. He also said in that same bit...
So wait, is he saying that the life we've been living right now has not been demonic?
The realm is opening up.
Oh, it's opening up.
Because we're being very mean to the men.
So sounds like things are going to get worse for conservatives, which I like.
He also said there's no such thing as toxic masculinity.
Are you sure?
He said that. And then he added, I'll tell you what.
Tell me.
Feminism is demonic.
Hell yeah.
So this candidate plays these clips for the media because this dude's campaign staff is like, no one knows who this guy is. Let's do the slightest bit of Googling and figure out who our opponent is. And they found all of this. By the way, I looked too and I'm like, oh, there's a lot more podcasts where this guy's been on the ballot, where this guy's been doing interviews.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fodder. This is why I cannot be a candidate, because I have been putting my opinions on the internet for 20 years.
Not me.
I don't agree with, a bunch of them now. But the point is, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And these interviews are all from the past couple of years. So it's not like he's changed his mind on any of this. So what they said, by playing these clips for the media, they were forcing the more conservative party to answer for their religious nutcase of a candidate.
I like that.
And this dude also said what these clips show is that the more conservative party, is either no longer vetting its candidates or they fully agree with what he says, which I love. And I wish that strategy would work here too.
I feel like a third option is not a lot of options in South Australia for conservatives. I don't know.
Listen, I love you, Australia, but also it feels very easy to run in your election. This is your big controversy? Come on.
I love Australia. It's the best.
So when the head of the more conservative party, Ashton Hearn, was asked about this dude's comments, this is your candidate, what do you have to say about it? She initially was like, I'm paraphrasing here, it's no big deal. I don't agree with them, but people are allowed to believe whatever it is they believe.
Is the liberal candidate saying this?
This is the more conservative party's leader.
Oh boy.
Yeah, who's trying to flip the House and Senate, basically.
Sure, and this is the guy he's going to do it with.
Yeah, she said, they're not something that sits well with me. Karsten's put those views out there. I don't share them, but we're just focused on working together across the political 47 seats to make sure we're presenting South Australia about our positive plan. He's allowed to have his views. I'm not going to stop someone from having an opinion. This is about free speech, you guys.
Sure.
She also said he will remain our candidate in this district. Which she kind of had to do because this was about 2 weeks before their election.
Yeah, because they, again, probably just couldn't find another person with a pulse.
And also he's on the ballot. They've already printed them. They can't really change it.
Oh my
but guess
God.
what? Here's how awesome it is in Australia. A day after that press conference and after she said all that, she also announced that he's no longer going to be running as our candidate.
Oh no! But
She deleted.
said that
They deleted his page from their website. The party is effectively giving up on that race entirely.
Wait, that's all you have to do
That's
in
how much it took.
Australia? They have shame there still?
A little bit.
Huh.
She refused. The people asked her, like, so did he resign or did you force him to
Did you
step
resign
down?
him?
Right. And she's like, she said, she's not going into details on that. And now I'm telling you that he's no longer the candidate.
Oh,
And then they're like, doesn't he work for your office though?
good question.
In your party?
Did you see him today? What
And
did he say?
She said, he's still got a contract and that contract will continue.
Well, I mean,
To which the more liberal candidate,
even homophobes are.
to which the more
beholden.
liberal candidate responded, if that was someone in my party's campaign team, they would be out on their ear.
Their ear.
Their ear.
Oh, that's a nice old
So
timey
I gotta
1950s
say,
thing.
all of this just makes me super jealous because it is good to see a political party thoroughly shamed
Yeah.
for endorsing a man with such despicable views, regardless of the fact that they stem from his faith.
Boy, this is
Like this is how
this
politics
is a depressing,
should work.
depressing realization.
A wonderful story that's very depressing for Americans to hear.
Yeah. Oh, I miss you,
Like
Australia. I'll
it's
come
nice
back.
that this man was not rewarded for his extremism like he would be in the
Yeah.
U.S.
Oh boy.
Now his name's still going to be on the ballot because their election is like today. It's like this week. But if he gets elected, he doesn't have the endorsement from the more conservative party, meaning if you win, you're basically forced to serve as an independent and you don't get to like get
don't
any
get the-
committee assignments or
Yeah.
anything like that. So you're effectively useless even if you vote with the more conservative party.
Wow.
But you don't get the benefits of being part of a larger organization.
That's wild.
Yeah, love it.
Interesting. Election laws in other places make a lot of sense
Yeah.
sometimes.
Different story.
All
Let
right.
me tell you about our extremists.
Oh.
This past Sunday, Nebraska preacher Hank Kunneman. We've talked about him a little bit. He's one of those self-described prophets who thinks he has the voice of God. So he has a direct line to God. So you got to listen to everything he
I was
says.
gonna say, is he James Earl Jones?
Yeah.
Get it, guys?
He basically argued, he delivered a sermon. And then he's like, now, can I talk to you all for a second? Not just the people in this audience, but to everyone online.
Did he turn his chair around backwards? Like, hey, we're just gonna hang out.
Put
Can
on
we
the
just-
backwards baseball
Can
cap?
we just
Yes.
chill for a 2nd Jesus was just like the rest of us, you know? He had a posse.
Right.
He had his ride or die bay.
That
like
is the
this
language
character.
everyone uses.
I'm gonna do this character more, but go
Oh,
ahead.
God.
I'm
So
gonna workshop him.
he made his request for tithes. And then he's like, now let me talk to you all. I need to make a separate request, he said, for a travel the world fund.
Oh, good. Is he finally
Because-
sending me on a trip?
Yeah, he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I had to fly out to Idaho recently, but my flight was delayed.
Oh no.
Like 10 hours.
To Idaho? It's so
Idaho.
weird.
And he said the problem isn't like the weather or the airline, it's flying commercial. That's the real problem. Quote, the difference between me and the rest of you, I assume, the difference is I can't afford with my schedule and what I'm doing to be your pastor here and to be stuck in an airport somewhere and be gone for 3 or 4 days and not get back on Sunday. So he told his wife, I have to make an executive decision here. Quote,
Got that
I'm
PJ.
gonna charter a jet.
Yeah.
Because I am so
PJs,
dedicated to
PJs.
God.
Yeah.
And I am dedicated to you, the people.
And it is.
And I am dedicated to the United States of America.
Oh, good. I was gonna say the reason his plane's gonna get him closer to God because he's gonna be up in
There
the
you go.
sky.
We'll get to that.
We'll
get to that one.
love that he's the
You're
first
joking,
person.
but you're not.
Oh no!
He
I like
al-
that he's the first person ever to be like, you know what, you guys, commercial travel sucks.
I just want to tell you, like, I was on a plane about a week ago, supposed to fly back in the evening. Weather came up, and basically my flight got pushed back about 12 hours, had to stay in the airport or nearby overnight.
Yeah.
It sucks. It does happen. This dude had the same situation, and he's like, I need to rent a private plane so I can get back
Only
home.
solution I can think of.
Yeah, and that is what he did to get back home. So to that end, after telling that story, he asked everyone in the audience and everyone watching at home, donate to my fund, or if you're in the audience here, take an envelope home and, quote, pray over it and see if God would speak to you during the week. Because he needs a travel plan and a travel vehicle. And then he cited a Bible verse to prove that this is totally fine for him to request.
Oh, no.
It's Mark chapter 3, verse 9, where Jesus instructed his disciples to have a boat ready so the crowd would not crush him. Because he was healing all the people who were sick.
So
and then
he's
all these
Jesus
people,
in this scenario?
he's just like Jesus. It's from a passage where Jesus was healing the sick and a lot of people wanted to see him.
Well,
so
we
he
can get him a
basically,
boat.
he requested a getaway vehicle. And the implication from Kahneman is he needs to get away from all these people who want to talk to him.
Sure.
As if there are so many. It's impossible to meet the
I think
demand.
we can arrange to get him a little boat or
Yeah,
something
I
like
agree.
that.
It's weird that he
Like
didn't
maybe
ask for a
paddle
boat.
boat.
By the way, Hank Kahneman has made a lot of videos where he talks about how much he loves trains, like model trains.
Oh, I just went to the train museum in Snoqualmie recently, so he and I probably have a lot to talk about.
Are you by any chance white?
I am. I'm a
Look
white
at that.
person.
He did not ask for a train either. Nope. Private jet.
Well,
And
to be fair,
my favorite
our
bit.
country's not set up for rail travel.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Kahneman also told the crowd after citing the Bible verse, you see, even Jesus was concerned about going to certain ports and airports. Jesus was concerned
I think
about airports.
is
Which
this?
huge news if
I
true.
don't. Is this like when fucking Trump said that the Air Force in the Revolutionary War was really big or something like that? Like,
yeah.
do they?
He has said something like that as
I mean,
well.
I guess when you believe the Earth is only 10,000 years old, like the timeline is really truncated, so things feel like they're closer
Oh, yeah.
in time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the kind of port Jesus saw in an airport.
The problem.
Can you imagine Jesus going through a metal detector? Oh my God, his hands would set them off every time.
There you go. They
'Cause
got
of
the nails.
Because of the
Well-
nails.
Well played. Well played.
Thank you so much.
So, what's important to remember?
JessicaBluemkeGreif.com. Hire me for, I don't know, whatever. I
What's
can be your
important
friend.
to remember, no public accountability will exist for any of this because no one outside Kahneman's inner circle, which as far as I can tell is him and maybe his wife, knows how much money is coming in or going out.
Right.
He could say, I need a lot of money for my travel fund, take in a good chunk of money, and you would never know if he hit the goal. It's not a GoFundMe where there is a set like ask.
Right.
Right? He has previously said, I need money to expand the property we are sitting on this church.
Yeah.
And then later on, he raised like over $1 million. He's like, God is making me second guess whether I need this. So I'm going to sit on this for a little bit.
Oh,
like, that's the thing. That's who this guy is.
Wow.
But
What a racket, man. Golly.
I think-
wish I had the stone cold balls to sit here in front of people and be like, I am simply too important to sit by my gate and wait for my flight to come
it
in.
never occurs to
the
him.
Cinnabon.
If you're worried, if you're worried about getting home on time,
Yeah.
you can one, just not go out of town.
Yeah.
Or two, fly back a day earlier in case there are delays. Whatever you need to do.
You know,
he's
there's backup
also
plans.
I think he thinks he can get away with this because he's not asking to buy a private jet.
No, that would be crazy.
he wants to
wants
just
a charter one.
rent one whenever he needs it.
I don't own a mega yacht.
Which, by the way, I
just
think
use it 6
one
months out of the
calculation
year.
online said this boils down to like $100,000 a year if you're trying to do. I don't actually know what the cost is, but it's a crazy amount of money.
What could I do with $100,000?
Maybe that honestly feels too cheap to
It
me. So I
feels
don't know if
very
that's
low.
$100,000 a month, whatever it is. But just to remind you,
Yeah.
because I don't know how many people were following this back in the day. In 2015, the aptly named preacher Creflo Dollar, his real name, asked people to donate $65 million so he could buy his own private plane.
I remember this guy.
Yeah.
Creflo Dollar.
By the way, one of his
name.
supporters, who rides a bus 20 miles every Sunday to go to his church, said to a reporter, we support our pastor. That's what we're here for. The work that he's doing, where the Lord has him traveling, he doesn't need a cheap airplane. He needs the best. Fully brainwashed.
Oh
But
my God.
after
this
all
is
the
a
backlash,
cult.
after the backlash, he took down the request because people were mad.
Oh, really?
Not long after that, there was a TV show with Kenneth Copeland, one of those scamvangelists, and his buddy Jesse Duplantis, and they were talking about how they have to have their private jets.
PJs.
And Jesse Duplantis said, for one reason, it's the only way they can, if you're having a conversation with God and you need to stand up in the middle of the aisle and raise your hand to the skies and talk to God,
fucking
well, that's really weird on a regular plane. people are going to stop you or ask questions because, yes, you're a raving lunatic. He's like, but on a private plane, you can have conversations with God. And also,
when are these praying emergencies, these pray-emergencies
only
happening?
when they're in a plane, probably because they're closer physically to God.
Do they like get up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden they're like, I got it. Oh my God,
Probably.
Jesus, I need you.
Probably.
Reach.
And the two men said, I mean, we're also too famous to be seen in public, you guys. And also, what else are we going to do? The only other option is a commercial flight, which means getting in a, quote, long tube with a bunch of demons. They're talking about you. And then bunch of demons.
Which is fine for y'all. It's fine for you guys to do, but me, I need
cannot be
extra
stuck
protection.
in a tube o' demons.
A tube o' demons.
By the way, that was 2016.
That.
In 2018, Jesse Duplantis got even more backlash because he filmed a video asking his supporters to buy him a $54 million private jet. And in his video, there were 3 other private jets of his in the background.
You're fucking lying to me. He has multiple private jets.
Yes.
Multiple PJs.
He needed $54 million for his 4th one.
And how did he explain this?
He did not. One powerful evangelical, by the way, defended his request by saying, well, commercial flights are dangerous because they serve alcohol.
What?
That was the danger. On a private plane, you don't have to serve alcohol. You can just fly to Epstein
nobody's
Island and do normal
drank
things.
Or done drugs on a private plane, for
None whatsoever.
sure.
And then in 2020, the most recent example I could find anyway, there was a pastor, Marcus Lamb, who was called out by Inside Edition because he took out a $4 million COVID Paycheck Protection Program loan. $4 million that he said, I need it for my church. And they were allowed to request that. And then shortly after getting that money, he bought a private jet, which Inside Edition, Lisa Guerrero is the reporter, good on her. She also found that jet, after he bought it, he then started, he said it was for ministry purposes.
Sure.
But on Instagram, he's posting about his vacations to islands with his family.
Oh.
And when they inquired about all of this to Marcus Lamb, the quote, the church paid back the entire $3.9 million it received from the government with interest. So good reporting.
I mean, my only hope is that it seems to me a lot of like plane crashes tend to be private jets. So like, it's not like I'm wishing death upon anybody, but just statistically, I'm fine with this.
And in 2021, Kenneth Copeland, of all people, also said he needs private planes for his ministry. Why? Because commercial planes required passengers to be vaccinated. And, quote, to me, that's the mark of the beast. This is in 2021, right after COVID.
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
I know they were all like, if you get the shot, you'll die. But now he's saying, if you get the shot, that will kill me.
Because you have to be vaccinated to fly on planes in 2021.
Because the way vaccines work is that they're spread from person to person through the air. No. Wait, that's how COVID worked.
Yep. Never occurs to any of these pastors that if you're so famous that you can't fly anywhere, you could wear a disguise. You could fly first class. That's always an option. You could not stand up in the middle of the aisle to talk to God like a lunatic.
No, that's not an option. Take that off the list.
By the way, you can also, I've heard, pray silently and God can hear you.
I think there would be a pretty famous Bible passage about praying silently to yourself if that were the case.
Idea. You could reduce your workload. Yeah. You could also pool your money with all the other pastors and then invest in a scheduler who says you're closer to where someone needs to speak. I don't know.
Yeah.
All of those are logical answers to a very illogical problem.
Effort on their part.
By the way, after Kunneman made his pitch to his congregation last week, his wife comes on stage to tell a story of how a man recently looked at Kunneman and told him, your days of flying commercial are over.
And then murdered him? Because that's an insane thing to say.
And guess who that man was?
God.
Kenneth Copeland.
Oh, God.
So Patreon goal.
Yeah, patreon.com/friendly atheist podcast. Not 1, not 2, but 3, nope, 4 PJs. 2 per person. 1 for me, 1 for the dog, 1 for Hammett, and the third one can be friends and family.
Sure. Love it. Different story altogether.
Have you ever flown on a private jet?
Never.
I can't imagine a scenario where that would happen for me. Maybe when I finally meet Oprah.
There you go. One day it'll happen.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
the closest I got is one time they're like, for whatever reason, none that have anything to do with me, I just got lucky. They were like, hey, we're upgrading you to like a first class seat because there was an empty seat, but I was on the plane with my mother. So it's like, here, you go there. Fine, because I'll be nice. And also that means you're away from me for a little while.
Sure.
So like, go take it. I'm fine. I'm just on my computer anyway.
You know what's funny is I have that same story, but it's the opposite. That when I was in my 20s, my dad and I took a trip. And when we were flying home from San Francisco, they called him up and they're like, are you traveling alone? He said, no, I'm with my daughter. They're like, oh, we were going to upgrade you to first class, but if you want to stay with your daughter.
I don't
He's
have
like,
a daughter.
Yep. He's like, Jessica who? So those are the families that we come from.
Love it. Different story out of Indiana. This is an actual good decision out of Indiana.
So sorry, I'm still laughing at my own story.
There you go.
Indiana, yes. Garbage state, fuck Indiana, etc.
Yes.
Go on.
So they have a almost near total abortion ban in the state.
Yeah.
Except for the most extreme circumstances or situations, but effectively most people cannot get an abortion in the state of
Which
Indiana.
is weird because I know several women who have gotten abortions in Indiana, and thank Christ, because they should not have been parents at 20.
The law that was passed in 2022 after Roe v. Wade was overturned, it effectively bans abortions with exceptions only in the case of rape, incest, or lethal fetal anomalies. And even then, there are time limits to when you could get those procedures.
Well, and then you just have to prove that you were raped, which is famously really easy.
Very
and
easy.
everybody's really chill about it.
And surgical abortions can only be performed in hospitals or surgical centers owned by a hospital, something that happens fewer than 2% of the time in Indiana in the year prior to that law going into effect. So it's very limited, the access to abortion. The whole law, obviously, was designed to punish women who just didn't want to be pregnant.
Right.
It was cruel, unnecessary, force women to give birth against their will. I think we heard a story right after that law passed of a child who was pregnant and needed to cross state lines.
Yeah. I remember that.
I mean, I know at least one woman has died because she couldn't access medical care, which is what Republicans wanted.
That's what God wanted.
Yeah. So the ACLU sued after that law went into effect. They sued various state officials in charge of enforcing that law and the Medical Licensing Board of Indiana. And they did it on behalf of Hoosier Jews for Choice and 5 anonymous plaintiffs with a variety of religious beliefs. And the argument was that for the Jewish clients, well, we believe fetuses are considered living only after birth, not at conception. And that view is also true for Muslims, Unitarian Universalists, Episcopalians, and others. Those were the anonymous plaintiffs. And the argument is these plaintiffs have sincerely held religious beliefs that direct them to obtain an abortion under circumstances that are now prohibited by this anti-abortion bill.
Okay.
If they are at risk of needing an abortion in the future, they could not get one because of this bill, is what the lawsuit said. And they said Indiana has a version of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, basically the law that prohibits the government from substantially burdening anyone's religious beliefs, their exercise of their religion, unless they have a really compelling reason to do it.
Okay.
And this anti-abortion law, the lawsuit said, violates our clients' ability to practice their religion if they need an abortion.
Hasn't there been something similar about the satanic?
The Satanic Temple has attempted a version of that. The details are very different.
Sure.
But and that one did not go anywhere. It didn't work. But the state Supreme Court, I will say, there was a different lawsuit that was initially successful. The state Supreme Court, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. There was another lawsuit against that law as well.
Okay.
And a judge said, I'm temporarily putting this law on hold.
Okay.
So yay. But then the Supreme Court in Indiana ended that temporary ban in 2023, which means the anti-abortion law is in effect. So here's another lawsuit trying to chip away at it.
Yeah.
And last week, it worked. A Superior Court judge in Indiana, Christina Kleinman, she ruled that the religious freedom of the plaintiffs outweighs the draconian measures taken by Indiana to force them to get their abortion. Wow. You are inhibiting their ability to practice their faith.
Sure.
And this says, this court finds that there is significant public interest in ensuring the religious freedom of all citizens. And the state's position that religious freedom is somehow less important than other exceptions in the abortion law puts the court in an untenable position and finds that a permanent injunction against the law is the only proper relief. The abortion law would allow a plaintiff to seek an abortion if her pregnancy were the result of rape, but not if it were mandated by her religious beliefs, is what the judge said. And basically, and I'm paraphrasing now, the state hasn't said why it's okay to get an abortion in the case of rape, but not if it's because of someone's religious interest. You don't have a good reason for that. You haven't proven to me the government has a substantial reason to override her religious beliefs, because you're fine with it in certain situations.
Yeah.
So by putting those rare exceptions into the law, but not allowing it for religious reasons, you're basically violating the other Indiana law that says you can't force someone to violate their religious beliefs. So the religious freedom argument that Christians, conservative Christians, love to use to do anything they want has now been used by the state of Indiana to overturn its abortion ban, at least for now.
This is a real enemy of my enemy is my friend situation.
Yeah. Now, I will say several groups argued to the court, like we are friends of the court, we're filing this brief saying, there is ample evidence of sincerely held religious beliefs that permit abortion.
Yeah.
It happened before Roe v. Wade was overturned and after that. And the state argued, well, this is unfair because the women in question are not targets of the law. We don't punish them for having an abortion. We only punish the people, the doctors. So like these people can't even sue. They're not targets of this law. Who are they? They don't have standing to sue.
Oh.
That's obviously not how reality works because as the judge said, if you're pregnant, you're going to suffer the consequences of this law either way.
Yeah.
Even if the law only goes after the doctors.
That still doesn't change whether or not something is growing inside my body, whether or not the doctor gets a slap on the wrist or his house bomb.
Amazing. I love that the law that Christians love is being used against them.
That's really, really exciting.
But I will say, here's the downside to it. There's a limitation with this decision. And this goes outside the fact that Indiana is going to appeal this and their Supreme Court's probably going to overturn it later. It was filed as a class action lawsuit, and this ruling only applies to people who say their religious beliefs direct them to obtain abortions if that situation applies. So if you want to get one for personal reasons, I'm an atheist. I believe I control my body.
I'm an abortion hobbyist.
Yes, right. They would still be unable to do so unless they lie about their religion. Like the judge said... Basically, though, that the state can apply the same accommodations that you offer to rape victims to people who have religious objections. And that may not be permanent either because, again, Indiana Republicans will challenge this. It will eventually get in the hands of their allies on the courts.
Yeah.
And when it does, those judges are still going to have to explain why the religious beliefs of some people deserve to be violated in order to enforce this abortion ban.
I mean, also, just when you kind of lay it all out like that, it is insane that, like, what I can do with my body is designated by what the men above me believe I can do with my body, which is, while if they can use this sort of workaround of the religious freedom law is ultimately would be good if it legalizes abortion in Indiana, but like I don't love that we're setting a precedent of like, oh, you don't get to decide what you're gonna do with your body. Oh, you're
religious now, maybe.
The guy who's in charge of your church says that you can.
Right.
Okay, well now you can. So it's like I'm either being forced into or out of a pregnancy by the leaders who are men in my life. Yep. It's not. Yeah,
it's not a great law. It's a strategy within a game that Republicans have created.
Well, and it's
like gerrymandering. If they don't want to fix gerrymandering nationwide, the only solution is to gerrymander everywhere so it hurts Republicans. And this is the argument I don't get. Illinois is a gerrymandered state that helps Democrats, and Republicans in Illinois hate it. And they're like, this is awful. It's unfair. Great. So you support a national gerrymandering ban? And they're like, don't ask me that question. Next question. It's like, no, these are the rules you want to play by. It just turns out you haven't thought through the game strategy.
Well, I think also it's important to kind of take a step back and look at these laws that are around like managing women and women's bodies, because women are generally not trusted to be custodians of their own body or their own story. I recently was reading about how the fact that we're still saying release the files with the Epstein files as if we need proof, even though we have the testimony of women who said this is what happened. And for some reason that isn't enough.
Not enough.
Because we don't believe women's stories. We don't believe their ability to make the correct choice about their body because the patriarchy. And this is all part and parcel. Whether it is nobody believes this 13-year-old girl who got raped by her pastor and she tried to tell somebody, whether it's I need an abortion because I'm in a dangerous situation. Again, I love to remind people the number one cause of death in pregnant people is murder. And this is what laws look like when they are trying to manage women's bodies and manage women as opposed to support and help them.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's the best way to make, it's the way to make the best of a really bad situation. For what it's worth, if Republicans don't like this situation and they feel like the law is not going to work in their favor,
right,
the Republicans in Indiana, they could always try to do away with the religious freedom law, but that's not going to happen.
I mean, they've really tied themselves in a number of knots here that they're going to have trouble detangling if they lose the, I guess you want to call it moral high ground of religion.
Indiana Right to Life, their spokesperson said, Indiana's Religious Freedom Restoration Act was never intended to equate taking the life of an unborn child with religious expression in our state. Basically saying, if this judge's decision stands, quote, it will be exploited so anyone claiming a spiritual belief, even if personal and non-theistic, can justify taking a child's life. Yeah, basically he's saying you can use your religion to get away with anything.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that we've been talking about.
That is the problem
13 years here.
So anyway.
Wow. Stupid Indiana. It's a terrible state. The only good thing there is Max and Irma's in Edinburgh.
There you go. Totally different story. And I don't know what to make of this, but it still made me laugh.
Okay.
I saw a bunch of headlines earlier this month, and they all said some version of this. Utah lawmaker attempts to put word of wisdom in state code.
Okay.
Another one, scripture or legislation. LDS, the Mormon Church, LDS word of wisdom introduced in debate over Utah's kratom ban.
Kratom?
Kratom, K-R-A-T-O-M. I was not familiar with kratom, but basically it's a drug that people who have a lot of chronic pain will take to ease their suffering.
Oh.
Maybe I'm saying this and it makes no sense at all. It strikes me as like medicinal marijuana or something.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I know some people don't like it. They want to ban it, but there are also people who
because
say
they're squares.
Yeah. There are some people who use it and they're like, this helps me in ways that, and nothing else is helping. So I did not know much about kratom before I saw this, but there is a law that is being debated in Utah over, should we sell this stuff? Should we tax it and regulate it? Should we ban it entirely because it's a drug? Like, what's the right way to handle it? Because it's an opioid. And if you sell certain versions of it, like super concentrated, the way they make it could be deadly. And the question is, what do you do with this? So this is the law. But the headlines I was seeing suggested that there was some Republican lawmaker who was trying to put Mormon scripture into the bill. And it's like,
I mean, if
come
they're
on.
going to get away with that anywhere, I guess it's going to be Utah.
So people emailed me and they're like, did you see this about a Utah Republican trying to fit scripture into this bill? I'm like, tell me more.
Yeah.
That doesn't strike me as weird.
No.
But I don't know what happened. And if you look at headlines and you look at comments under the news articles posted on Facebook about those headlines, so many people are like, oh my God, another lawmaker, another Republican shoving religion into a bill. Like, there's enough of this. We don't need this. They're mad about it or they're happy about it, whatever. And I'm like, all right, what the hell is going on? And then it turns out, the more I dug into it, none of this is accurate.
Oh, God.
And then I spoke to the lawmaker. And he was willing to talk to me about it, which is, it's not often I talk to a Republican about any of this stuff.
This is part 2 in our series of Hemant is a capital R, capital J real journalist.
Oh, thank you. So the bill is, the problem that they said in this bill with kratom is that if it's mixed with other substances, it could be super deadly. This is not about treating chronic illness. This is like a drug people are taking and they could die. One lawmaker called it, quote, gas station heroin. Like,
zoinks.
Big deal. So the question is, this is a drug. Do you regulate it and tax it? Or do you prohibit it entirely? Keep in mind, there are businesses in Utah that make this stuff and sell this stuff. And if you say you're not allowed to, you're banning it entirely, those businesses either go out of business or they have to sell to outside the state.
Is this not cleared by the FDA? It seems
Don't ask me a drug question about this stuff because I'm the last person who knows the specifics.
It weird that they're voting on one particular drug. That doesn't feel like how laws work, but...
It's a big deal in the state.
Okay.
And so in Utah, the solution that they stumbled upon, that they decided after all their debate, is let's ban concentrated kratom, the extracts, like the most deadly version of this drug. Let's ban that, but we will allow whole leaf or pure leaf kratom products to be permitted in certain situations. So they are kind of restricting it.
Okay.
But
this sounds like a weed sort of.
Kind of, yes. So in-state manufacturers will be allowed, they're giving them an off-ramp because there are a lot of businesses affected by this. They're saying you're allowed to make certain products, kratom products, for one more year, but you're not allowed to sell them within the state's borders.
Okay.
Like, it's such a patchwork trying to figure out how to make everyone happy while also saying we don't want you to sell this for much longer. So we're giving you some time. We're not going to shut down your business, but we're giving you like a year to figure out what your next business version is going to be. That's kind of what they decided, right?
Yeah.
So they're debating and voting on this bill. I don't have a strong position on this. I don't know what the right answer is because I don't know enough about the issue, but that's irrelevant.
Website
But
and
when they were debating this bill, there was a state representative, a Republican, Matt McPherson, who suggested an amendment. He said, let's just do all this. The bill that is being proposed has so many like nuancy things, like this is allowed, this is banned, this is allowed in certain concentrations. It's so specific and ridiculous that he said, we already have a document that tells us what's allowed and not allowed. And a lot of people in Utah already believe in it. Why don't we just substitute this bill for that scripture? And that's called the Word of Wisdom. And in the Mormon scripture, that is the like document Joseph Smith wrote that calls for complete abstinence from vices like tobacco, alcohol, and hot drinks like tea and coffee. So Mormons don't drink
the great
hot
vice
coffee,
of chamomile.
clearly. Why can't Mormons drink coffee or tea or stuff? It's because of the Word of Wisdom. It's because this document prohibits it. And what McPherson said is basically saying, rather than taking small little bites at this and kind of playing whack-a-mole in every product that comes on the market, I just assume we would go all the way and put into effect a health code that's already been adopted in vast areas of Utah and really just impart the wisdom of the legislature upon the masses on the street that just don't have the same moral clarity that we do.
My dude is going to ban hot drinks across the state of Utah. You come in from a day on the slopes. You come in, you sit down at the bar.
You want some hot chocolate?
No, you got ice water.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, if you see the version of the bill that was being debated, it is so specific, so nuanced, line by line. He said, my amendment
Sweeping.
is cross out everything in that bill and just copy paste what's in the Book of Mormon or the Word of Wisdom anyway. And then he changed some of it to make sure it's not violating church-state separation. For example,
sure,
the first line of the religious document says, a word of wisdom for the benefit of saints. Well, in his version of the bill, it says, a word of wisdom for the benefit of state residents. Like, that's the sort of
it's
change
like literally it has the same first letters and the same last. He did like a control F, find replace.
He took out references to God. He replaced the word saints with state residents. He took out religiosity of it all. But it is like 94% ripped from Joseph Smith's 1833 Doctrine and Covenants book.
I mean,
so he does this. This is where the headlines come from. Utah lawmaker tries to replace bill with Mormon scripture.
Which I guess he kind of did.
He made it clear during his presentation of this amendment. He's doing this tongue in cheek. he is very clearly being sarcastic. But the point he wanted to make, and he alluded to this, but he didn't wink throughout, but this is the point he wanted to make. The state currently in Utah, they allow the sale of alcohol. But he said in his speech, we know how deadly alcohol is. People are drunk drivers, right?
Yeah.
Utah sells tobacco. That leads to death as well. So why are lawmakers trying to ban a potentially dangerous substance when they clearly don't have a problem with objectively deadlier drugs? That's the point he wanted to make. He's like, why are you trying to ban this thing when there are some people who have died from kratom. He's like, but there are other drugs that you are fine with. And his suggestion is, don't try to ban this stuff. Let's regulate it and tax it. Let's not try to figure out what version of kratom is acceptable, what's not. Like, you're going to go insane.
This feels like a Poe's Law situation or something of like, this. It's not satire if you are, like you said, if you're not winking or giving any kind of indication that this is meant to be not taken literally and seriously. And you know it's failed satire because of how many headlines made it to your inbox say like that. Honestly, that
there was one news article that said this appears to be the only time in recent memory that a lawmaker has proposed inserting scripture into state code.
Well, I don't think that's true.
And now, after he made his little speech, it didn't appear that his colleagues were amused at all, because this is a Republican bill we are talking about. The bill's sponsor, her name is Katie Hall. She gave a speech where she basically, very seriously, I'm gonna quote her. Until you've had to see opioid addicts at work and know how their addiction affects everything in their lives, including the pain control that they have when they're going into surgery, ... Like, you don't understand this. And then she said, I don't think you understand that it's different from alcohol. It is different than tobacco. And basically shutting him down, saying, I don't accept your amendment, and how dare you belittle my very serious law here, my very serious bill that would ban the deadly versions of this drug.
Well, yeah, and she's right. There's definitely nobody whose life is completely consumed by the use of alcohol or their life is ruined by drug use. She's super right. Opioids are different from everything else. Like, I understand to some extent, like, there is an opioid crisis. It is bigger than, I don't know. It feels different. I don't know.
So,
why do I think I have opinions about this?
After she was done with her speech, basically knocking him down a peg, he comes back to the mic and he basically says, look, I'm paraphrasing. I do take this all seriously. But he said he did want an answer to his basically rhetorical question. Quote, when we are talking about alcohol and tobacco and other items, we currently regulate and we tax. So I ask the body to ask yourself, for far more dangerous products that have far greater effects on the totality of this state, why is regulation and tax the appropriate way forward? And why is ban the way forward on other products? And it's a fair question.
That's a fair question.
He never got an answer to it.
And I think he could have done a much better job posing it.
And his question was never answered.
If he's looking for rhetorical devices, maybe this was not it.
Yeah, by voice vote. They're like, do we accept this dude's amendment?
No.
And that was it. And then the old version of the bill was brought back up and they passed it. It was like a vote of like 94-4. Like, no one voted against this bill.
So this was just a phenomenal waste of everybody's time.
Short. But yes, a waste. Now, I will say, I saw headlines. I saw Facebook threads about the headlines about this guy trying to insert Mormon scripture into the bill. I saw Reddit threads about this. Everyone was like, son of a bitch, trying to insert religion into a bill. That's all they heard.
Yeah.
They did not read into the substance of what he was saying or doing. I got that it was a joke. He wasn't seriously trying to insert scripture into the law. So I reached out to this
right
dude.
Off the bat? You're like, oh, haha, this guy's doing a little bit.
From the headlines, I'm like, why is someone trying to insert scripture? Then you read the articles, the same articles with those clickbaity headlines. And I'm like, they do mention that he is kind of being tongue in cheek here.
Yeah.
But you have to read the articles, which no one does.
Sure.
But I reached out to this dude. I'm like, so listen, I'm from Friendly Atheist. Basically, it's not hard to realize I don't like Republicans.
Right.
But I'm like, I understood your sarcasm, and I know you're getting misconstrued in a lot of these articles. So I do want to ask you like questions about what you were trying, the point you were trying to make, because I think I get it.
Yeah.
And I also saw in some of these articles, they reached out to this guy. He did not speak to them. So I'm like, I don't know if you're answering any questions. That was my question too. I'm like, will I get through? And he, paraphrasing, he wrote back and he's like, yeah, I'll answer your questions. Just FYI, I'm on vacation because our session is out.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'll ask you questions. Thanks for answering if you're on vacation. But here's what he basically told me. I'm like, so no one laughed at your joke. Like, are you upset that no one seemed to get your sarcasm?
Did you bully this man?
Yes, I did. I'm like, well, your colleague, after you spoke, she seemed very unhappy with you. And I'm like, were you upset that your colleague was like dressing you down there? He said, I don't mind it. I don't mind the misleading coverage because the thing I was trying to do wasn't intended for anyone but the legislature. It was an inside joke among the people in the room. And he said of the woman who said, this is not a joke, Representative Hall was aware of the substitute that he was proposing and laughed heartily when I first showed it to her, but she asked me not to run it because her legislation and position on the issue was serious. She played her role appropriately, and it had the intended effect during the floor presentation. Meaning, yeah, she wasn't happy that I brought it up, even though she found it funny. She said, ha ha ha, don't do this. And then when he did, she's like, fuck you, I'm going to call you out on this.
Interesting.
And he's like, you know what? Good for her. It made her point. Now, he did tell me he considered it a small victory that some kratom manufacturers will be able to continue working in Utah for a little while before the law forces them to either shut down or move out of state or change their business model entirely. So he's like, so yay for some of that, but
Sure.
he still finds it very hypocritical that they're trying to push these businesses out of state while allowing alcohol manufacturers to do whatever it is they do. Which, okay, so the good news is that this is not some creeping theocratic plot. It's very much evidence of a very lazy, clickbaity media ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he answered my question. We didn't talk about anything else other than, so no one got your joke. Are you cool with that? And he's like, whatever. I didn't care. It was for us. And if people don't understand it, they don't understand it.
I wonder what would happen if they tried to press forward with an alcohol ban or something. I mean, they already, you can't get like over like 4 ABV in beers or whatever. Like there are limits to the kind of alcohol you can drink.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what they would do, because it's hugely Mormon. I know that, but like, you don't know off the top of your head. I'm just curious how many people who live in Utah would be big mad if they banned it.
There are enough non-Mormons in Utah that it would be an issue.
And I think it would be a travel issue too, or not travel, but hospitality, like getting people, tourism.
Businesses would be very mad.
Yeah.
Different story altogether. This one's far more serious.
Oh boy.
Let me remind you of what's happening in politics, because there's a candidate who's about to run who is not great, and he's probably going to win. So here's the situation. Kristi Noem, Donald Trump fired her as the Secretary of Homeland Security, right?
She's an idiot.
Because she's an idiot. He decided to replace her with an even bigger idiot, Markwayne Mullin, the senator from Oklahoma. So Markwayne Mullin appears to have a glide path to that nomination. There's not enough votes to stop him, so he will take over her job. But he's the senator from Oklahoma. That means a couple things are going to happen after he gets confirmed. There is a vacancy in the Senate. Okay. The governor of Oklahoma, obviously a Republican, gets to appoint the replacement. The law in Oklahoma also says whoever you put in place for that sort of position cannot run in the next election. So, like, if you put someone temporarily as a senator, they can't run for re-election. So if anyone's serious about being senator, they actually have to run for office. They cannot be just special elected in. Anyway, Markwayne Mullin is going to vacate his Senate seat. Kevin Stitt, the governor, is going to nominate somebody to take his role. There will be a open Republican battle for the open Senate seat. But one of the people who is running for that Senate seat in November is a guy named Kevin Hern. He is currently a House member. So that means Kevin Hern is going to vacate his House seat to run for what appears to be a surefire win for this Senate seat. Okay. So long story short is because Kristi Noem got fired, there's going to be an open House seat in Oklahoma in a very red district. There's going to be a Republican battle to win the primary in that open House seat.
Okay.
Okay, there's your background for this, because the guy who is about to announce that he is running for that open house seat is a guy named Jackson Lammeyer. And we've talked about him a little bit before. He is a pastor of, you know what his church's name is? Because he's very internet savvy.
Oh, God.
It's Sheridan Church. But they don't call it Sheridan Church. They call it Sheridan.Church. Like the internet URL is the name of their church. And his whole thing is Christian nationalism. Just to give you an example, over the past couple of years, who has visited his church to give guest speeches, guest sermons? FBI Director Kash Patel promoted his book in the church. Laura Trump phoned Trump on stage from his church. The lawyer Alina Habba talked about Trump's New York trial at his church. And this month, maybe recently, this is from last year, Eric Trump met there with some of Tulsa's top CEOs. So this is a MAGA-friendly church.
Sure.
More recently, Jackson Lammeyer founded a group called Pastors for Trump, which was just organized to get conservative Christians to support Trump in 2024. But this guy, Jackson, has been on the MAGA train since before 2016.
Okay.
So he's very much like I love Trump. Trump is the best human ever. He ran for Senate in 2022. He thought he built up enough of a Trump-loving base that he could pull off an upset in the Republican primary. He was trounced. He got 26% of the vote in the Republican primary.
Whoops.
James Lankford, who was the incumbent senator, got 68%, and he is still their senator. So anyway, Jackson Lammeyer tried to be U.S. senator, failed in a Republican primary. And part of the reason his campaign never quite caught fire is James Lankford is one of those... he is a MAGA cultist Republican who does pretty much everything Donald Trump wants, but he doesn't play that role on TV. He sounds reasonable on TV, even though he is very much a crazy dude. Why? And that plays well in Oklahoma because you win over the crazy people and you win over normie Republicans.
Right.
Okay. Why is Jackson Lammeyer a weird, dangerous candidate? Well, let me give you a rundown of what this guy has said over the past few years. He said Black Lives Matter was founded by witchcraft practicing lesbians. Yep, that's a real thing.
Witchcraft practicing lesbians. I think I know a couple of those.
Congrats.
Thank you.
During COVID.
Yeah.
In 2021, I believe, when vaccines were available, he said he would sign vaccine exemption forms for anyone who became an online member of his church. Like if anyone needs a vaccine exemption form signed by a pastor so you can get away with not getting vaccinated.
Oh my God. So he's like the cool teacher in your high school.
Yes. He claimed Dr. Anthony Fauci was a, quote, mass murdering Luciferian.
Oh, Luciferian.
He said of January 6th, it was an inside job by the FBI.
How does that help his point of view?
Doesn't matter.
He's just lying.
Just spreading conspiracies.
Just saying
What about
words.
Alex Jones? He said Alex Jones, quote, did nothing wrong. I don't know what that's in reference to,
Probably
but
the
if you
Sandy Hook
ever say
families?
that, it's never good.
I think his most famous fuck up was the getting owned by the Sandy Hook families for defamation.
Well, and he hasn't paid anything out yet. He's still around. Like, Jackson Lammeyer also embraces QAnon, even though he's been accused of Satanism by other QAnon conspiracists. So that's fun. He also said he seeks the, quote, eradication of Islam from the country.
Good.
He thinks
good
black
goals.
women like Jasmine Crockett are guilty of acting, and I'm quoting here, like a ghetto fool in Congress.
Oof.
By the way, there are multiple tweets he has made where he uses that word to describe Jasmine
Ghetto?
Crockett. Yep.
Ghetto fool?
Ghetto fool. He also said of Kamala Harris, is Kamala Harris even black? All caps, by the way. Black.
What prompted that? What prompted that?
That's not even a response to anything.
Just is she...
Just straight up.
What is the answer he's looking for? Yes, she's half black and half Indian. What? Like, what are these people talking about?
But this is the sort of broken brain racism you expect from a graduate of Oral Roberts University.
Oh my God.
And now this guy is like, I get emails from this dude because, again, hate myself.
Sure.
I'm on their mailing list.
Oh my
like
God.
last week when they announced Kirsty Noem is fired and all the dominoes are about to fall. He's like, guys, pray for me because I'm praying for God to give me an answer of whether I should run. It's like, oh yeah, I wonder what God's going to tell you.
Oh my God.
Then like a minute later, he tweets like, I like this logo. Ha ha ha. It says Lammeyer, fight for Oklahoma values, U.S. Congress. It's like a campaign sign. He's like, I like it. Flying to D.C. today. Meetings tomorrow. Decision to run or not to be made soon. You're flying to D.C. I think you have made your decision.
Also, sir, like, who's this little performance for?
I don't know. And then 2 weeks ago, he tells his supporters, they were asking, are you going to run for that open Senate seat? Before
the world wants to know.
The world wants to know. He said, quote, at this season in my life, I have no intentions of running for any particular office in the near future. I am absolutely loving the opportunity to be the pastor at Sheridan Church.
Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. Also,
But
why do they feel like the need to? It feels like everybody who ends up running for anything, they're like, no, I'm not gonna do. Oh, who me? Oh, you want little old me?
I think when they knew Mark Wayne Mullen was going to be nominated for this position, they went to him like, you've run for Senate before. Are you going to run for it now? And that's what he was responding to. But the second Kevin Hearns said, well, I'm going to run for that Senate seat and the House seat is open, he's like, that's more winnable, isn't it? All right, well, I guess I now have intentions of running. So within
it's so obnoxious.
a week later, again, within a week, he told his supporters his intentions had changed. Now that my congressional district is open, I am considering running for this open seat, which covers just the Tulsa Metro. I'm heading to D.C. for a round of meetings tomorrow at the White House about this decision. Please pray for me that I will have wisdom and clarity on which path to go. Gotta love that bullshit rhetoric in which Christians say they're asking God for clarity on the thing they have already decided they're totally gonna do. God never comes to them and says, no.
No.
Right? So anyway, this week, he is now teasing a special announcement for next Tuesday.
Oh my God, this is for an Oklahoma House seat, sir?
No. A U.S. Congress seat.
But I'm sorry, that's
Yes,
what I meant. But
yes.
like in Oklahoma, like, I'm sorry, is this the huge like red carpet rollout we need for a deeply winnable congressional seat that he
The open question is anyone else going to run for this seat? It's not like they're going to be better or worse or anything. They're all going to be bad. If you're a Republican in a deeply red Oklahoma district, they're all going to be bad. But right now, he's probably the most prominent name that anyone's even considering. Because what's your other option going to be? Maybe a sitting state representative or state senator that no one really knows?
Right.
Probably, but I don't know who else is going to run in the GOP primary. For what it's worth, the Cook Political Report rates this district as a solid Republican district, meaning Democrats don't stand a chance, meaning the only competition is in the primary.
Yeah.
So
it could be coming from his right somehow.
And I want to bring this up because this dude is so extreme, and yet he's very much a viable candidate for a major political party. That's what the Republican Party has become. And I know there are plenty of crazies in the Republican House altogether. But the thing is, a few years ago, he was too extreme that James Lankford beat him in the Senate primary.
Right.
And now very much, it's not that he's a better candidate. It's that their party has become significantly worse. And they've lost all their guardrails. And now this dude is like, I'm going to run for this seat. Because
not
God
looking so bad now, huh?
Yeah. And that's the danger here. It's not that he's going to be a reliable vote for MAGA extremists, because anyone in his position's going to be that.
Right.
It's that he's further legitimizing the fact that crazies like him can get elected.
Yep. Even
in Oklahoma, it's still scary. And so, yikes. I got one last story for you.
Oh, God, I thought we were done. I'm so tired.
Almost. And this is just a quick one. This is one of the most senseless pieces of Christian nationalist legislation making headway this year.
Wow, and that's a crowded field.
Very crowded. Alabama House Republicans have just passed a bill that would force school districts to not just say the Pledge of Allegiance, but allow for voluntary student-led prayer time every day. They want prayer in school.
Like K through 12?
K through 12. And this guy, the guy behind this bill, Reed Ingram, is the Republican lawmaker. He tried to do this last year, and we talked about it then. And that bill would have altered the state constitution if it passed through all the hurdles to do the following. You're going to force every public school district to basically say the Pledge of Allegiance, as well as a, quote, prayer representative of the Judeo-Christian values upon which the United States was founded,
Oh, wow.
Every
That
morning.
was pretty on the nose.
Every
eh?
school would have to do that, and students who got like an opt-out permission form from their parents would not have to say it. It would also allow the state superintendent of education to investigate districts that were supposedly violating this law.
Oh, Jesus.
And it would give that official power to withhold a quarter of the district's funding from the state the following year if they didn't implement this prayer in school. And then this law would permit that same official to take away more funding if they didn't fix it.
Oh, good. That's definitely what Alabama needs, is to take money away from its schools.
Yes, the biggest school district, I believe, is the Birmingham City Schools. They could have risked losing up to $40 million a year if this law went into effect.
And you said it's a student-led prayer?
No. This is last year's I'm forcing you to say a prayer.
Oh.
And we didn't know, well, what prayer? Who's leading the prayer?
Judeo-Christian.
What's going on?
Just like George Washington did.
And like, what do you do with the kids who don't have permission or don't want to say this? Do they step outside the room every day? Do they have to have a permission form? Like, what are we doing? And what Judeo-Christian prayers qualify? Because there are different brands of Christianity, right? Who writes these prayers? Who decides what values you are talking about? Because the values that our country's founding endorsed slavery and denied women equal participation in the government, just to name a couple things. He never explained any of this. In fact, when he introduced the bill during a committee hearing last year, it took him 11 seconds. He just said, I want to introduce this bill. Here's my bill. All right, we're done.
Ooh, he does do accent work.
And when he was asked, why do we need this bill? He said, quote, our recruiting is down for the National Guard. It's down in every branch of the military. And then, hear this, a lot of these kids don't understand what the flag is.
Are you sure that they don't understand what the flag is?
I didn't know kids don't know what the flag is. Anyway, he also said later, I think it would help on crime.
Sure.
No
Christians have ever committed any crimes.
And no one asked him the obvious follow-up, what?
How?
Yeah. And now the good news is that bill did not go anywhere. It died before the state house could ever vote on it, because I think everyone knew this is a little insane.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna pass legal muster anywhere. So this year,
is this one of those things that is intended for the Supreme Court?
No, this is straight up. This is some
real deal dumb.
Just some dumb trying to force Christianity into the schools.
Because it's hard for me to tell the difference sometimes between like a weird suit that obviously is meant for the Supreme Court.
That's part of a larger strategy versus some idiot.
Just some dumb.
Yeah. So this year he sent modified versions of that bill because it didn't work last year.
Got to shave some of those edges off, huh?
This year he changed it around a little bit.
Great.
And then he submitted 2 separate versions of the exact same bill to different committees. Like, it's like having 2 lottery tickets.
Oh my God.
Like, maybe your committee will say yes, but if you don't, I'm going to send the same bill over here. They have different numbers, even though it's the same bill, which I didn't know was a thing you could do.
Well, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
I thought you kind of had to put all your eggs in one basket if you're filing a bill. So he filed it with like Education Policy Subcommittee
That makes
and
sense.
the State Government Subcommittee. And
that's weird.
For what it's worth, it did not work in the House Education Committee.
No.
They didn't even take it up. But the State Government Committee did take up his version of the bill.
Oh my God, what'd they say?
And he, by the way, when the reporter said, why are you submitting 2 versions of the same bill? He said, quote, we didn't know if the bill was going to be dead or not. So leadership advised that it may be safer to go ahead and drop another bill in an abundance of caution.
Because can you imagine anything so tragic as this law not seeing the light of day?
So now the original version that he proposed would alter the state constitution again to do everything he wanted last year, but it backs off a little bit because the version he submitted, districts would be allowed to adopt a prayer policy that would require schools to offer a period of prayer and reading of the Bible or other religious text on each school day. Wow. So it doesn't say Judeo-Christian prayer. It just says every school could adopt a policy that requires their schools in the district
Is it a
to have a period where sometime where kids can pray or read the holy book of their choice.
Is this a BYOB situation? Like, do the kids have to bring their own Bible, or will the school be providing the Bibles?
Doesn't get into specifics.
And what if, say, you're a 12-year-old kid who isn't religious but really likes horses? Can she just read about horses?
And nothing specific about reading other books during that time period. Now, what happens if they adopt those prayer times?
Yeah.
What do the kids do if they don't want to read a holy book or pray?
That's what I'm asking. Read Black Beauty again, I guess.
There's no answer to that.
Deal with it, kids.
That's why a lot of people spoke out against this bill, because they were making that very point. One person who's Jewish said she worried about peer pressure non-Christian students could face. She said, quote, "My own 2 children have encountered this pressure as early as elementary school with weekly Bible study being held in the cafeteria during breakfast and with the Gideon's visit to hand out Bibles in 5th grade." And Ingram, the guy who proposed this, he said he doesn't believe the bill will cause harm to students who are not Christian. It doesn't say we've got to talk about Jesus. It's non-denominational. And if it's a Jewish school, then that's what they're going to go by.
Non-denominational doesn't mean secular.
No,
non-denominational means a flavor of Christianity.
This guy thinks if he just says, just Christian, I'm just putting the Bible in my bill, it doesn't mean you got to read any particular parts. See, everyone will be happy. But then there were a series of amendments, and the version that Republicans settled on still forces every public school board to adopt a policy.
Okay.
Though no one has to participate.
Yeah.
But it would force them to say a prayer as long as it's student-initiated and student-led.
Did you say require or allow?
Oh, require.
They would require them if a kid...
It would require schools to have a prayer time as long as it's student-initiated and student-led. Now, the questions are so many. What happens if a student doesn't want to do it?
Yeah.
Do you not have the prayer period? What do you do? We don't know.
You can't require something and then also make it a volunteer base.
And also, it's Alabama. It's student-initiated. That suggests the school's not forcing religion on your kids. But it's Alabama. You think a Muslim kid? You think a Muslim kid's gonna win the class vote to lead prayers? Like, it's not gonna work like that, which is how they want to get away with it.
Right.
Remember, kids are already allowed to pray whenever they want. This is just permitted disruption after the first period bell rings.
I don't know if you knew this about me, Hemant, but I am kind of a jock, and I went to sports camp as a young person at Loris College in Iowa. And Loris is a Christian college. And it was my first and one of my only kind of encounters with a sort of blatantly Christian situation that I had to kind of like navigate. But I bring this all up to say that when we would get our little meals in the cafeteria, each table would have to like pray before we got released to go get our food. And, you know, it's fine. It was a private college. But I also just need you to understand that the prayers we said were good food, good meat, good God, let's eat, or rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub. Like, kids are not gonna do the, like, excuse me, we need this solemnity from everybody. We're going to take this very seriously.
100%.
Like,
there will be
this
weird
is just
prayers.
Another thing that kids are going to be annoyed by having to do, which, like, fine.
Which is what the pledge is, too.
Yeah.
And the other big change that Republicans made is there's no financial penalty anymore if you refuse to comply, though that raises the question, well, what happens if a district doesn't comply with this law?
There's no...
Who knows? They don't say.
This is
but
stupid.
even with that watered-down version of the bill, as Democrats pointed out, what about families that don't want to see their schools turned into religious indoctrination camps? One person brought up the fact that some parents, if they feel like their school's getting too religious, they may take advantage of vouchers to send their kids to a private school because that's allowed in Alabama and they'll give you taxpayer dollars to do it.
Are there a lot of
secular private schools? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't feel like the answer is to go from a public school to a private school in Alabama
that actually
if you want to
plays
get away from
right
religion.
into Republicans' hands because they want kids to leave public schools.
Yeah.
But in any case, that version of the bill that just passed the state house, that version did pass 94-3, and it now heads to the state Senate.
Cool.
And any attempts to change this bill did not really work, partly because Ingram insisted students have to hear the prayer. They even said, what if we just do a moment of silence instead? He said, no, quote, we want the students to hear it. A moment of silence is walking in the woods. It's not a prayer bill. I think he said the quiet part out loud there.
He sure did.
Yeah, we want the students to hear the prayer because he wants to shove religion.
Is he Henry David Thoreau? Like, oh, no. If you want your moment of silence, go for a walk in the woods and also make your mom do your laundry.
And then the funny thing is, what about the vouchers? Like, what if we require that private schools that get voucher money, do they have to do this too? And he said, no, we can't make the private schools do it because, again, he doesn't like public schools. He wants kids to go to private schools and use taxpayer money. But he said, well, we have private schools that are from Korean schools. I think he meant we have private schools that are Korean. But he said, prayer would be great, but most of the time they have different beliefs, and we don't want to shove that on somebody from a different country. So if people if people from other countries have different beliefs, then this dude, Ingram, he says it's not okay to shove our religion down their throats.
I'm sorry, now we have all the deference in the world for the immigrant population.
As long as they're running public schools and making running private schools and taking money away from public schools. And so despite all of that, I mean,
we'd hate to make anybody feel uncomfortable in our public school. Oh, here's the junior high, Robert E. Lee Junior High.
And then he added, you guys, I'm not trying to force my religion on anybody. Let me quote, I am not trying to cram religion down anyone's throat or make it to where they're mandated to do anything.
Are you sure, sir?
A lot of times, kids don't have the option to pray, and they don't know what prayer means. Which is what he said about the flag, too. Apparently, this guy thinks kids are all dumb and don't know anything. It is Alabama, however.
Kids are all dumb.
Kids are generally better, even in Alabama. But
they're still dumb.
So, this is now in front of the state Senate. Like, the House passed this bill. It's in front of the state Senate. It's Alabama. It would get signed into law if it passes. But to be clear, schools are not clamoring for this. This only creates more problems. It's for nobody except Christian nationalists. It's another attempt to shove Christianity into schools. Alabama, in case you're wondering, ranked 45 in the nation.
Oh, that's usually my job that I do.
So there you go.
Wow. I can't wait till they all go to Slavery Wasn't Actually That Bad University in Alabama. They're really going to get a lot out of that program there. Wow.
There you go.
What idiots. Just looking around at the world and how bad things are for so many people, and to see the people who have power using it to do this dumb bullshit is pretty stupid and infuriating.
And with that, we'll see you next week.
Well,
leave your reviews on whatever podcast app you use. We appreciate it. Go to patreon.com/friendlyatheistpodcasts to get your bonus and exclusive.
Yeah. We really
links.
appreciate. We couldn't have done this this whole video setup without the support of y'all. So I hope people are enjoying it. I hope.
Leave your best reviews.
I read this? I can't remember. From Guz42, hosts are just darn likable and delivering news about. No, I did this one already.
Excellent.
I don't know how the Apple
reviews
works, because people have said that they've written them in, but they don't get posted.
Write another one.
In the
bonus. What are we talking about? I want to talk about the Illinois primaries a little bit.
Oh my God, that's so boring. I wanted to talk about the Oscars.
Yeah, the Oscars.
I did completely forget to watch Survivor until 2 a.m. and I stayed up late and was like watching it and eating Cheez-Its as fast as I could. So we'll talk about that.
That's it. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the Oscars. All right. Bye.